This is a more recent, and it is so simple. I love it. And you ask me, how long did it take you? I don't know.
Wow, this is so unexpected. I love it. It's
2 minutes, 3 minutes.
I mean,
But a lifetime. It took a lifetime to get to this point of confidence, where I put something like this on paper and with confidence present it to the world. Being an artist is that artists, it's not just artists and scientists are adults who retain their childhood sense of curiosity and wonder.
A little bit more background info about you, how you started as a mathematician, and then that interest all of a sudden became art. And when did the art kind of fade into your career?
I was 39. I was 39 when I first put pen on paper. And it was just a curiosity. And the curiosity developed into an interest. Interest somehow evolved into an obsession. And the obsession morphed into a career.
I'm excited and I'm so happy.
Yes.
I'm joining you from your actual studio. Awesome.
Did you ever see my proposal for the memorial to Maryam Mirzakhani? But she was an Iranian mathematician who about a couple of years ago, actually 4 years ago, won the Fields Prize in mathematics, which is the most prestigious prize of mathematics. And she was the first woman in the world to win that prize. And unfortunately, 2 years later, she died after she received the prize. She used to teach at Stanford University in the field of topology. And somebody on the board of Stanford approached me and said that he wanted to build a memorial for her. This patron said that they did not, Stanford wasn't too keen on building a monument or a memorial because they did not want their space disturbed, touched, which is very common. So the space that you see here is right next to the math department at Stanford University. This is
got it. It looks like a quarter of a courtyard.
Yes. And my proposal was very simple: that every day around 15 minutes to noon, an image would start taking shape somewhere on the floor here. And the image becomes sharper and sharper as we get closer and closer to noon. At noon, the image is at its sharpest, and then it starts fading away. But within 15 minutes, it disappears. And the image was the image of Maryam Mirzakhani, who's sitting on the floor, who used to sit on the floor and do these math problems on a large piece of paper. So it is that image of her sitting on the floor and doing these topology problems. Anyway, and the way I achieved this is that somewhere outside of the view, somewhere in the roof, I put a solar dish that is looking to the sun at the point of noon, that is fixed towards the sun. And as the earth turns around the sun, the solar dish around 15 minutes before noon starts capturing the rays of sun. As it gets closer and closer to the center, it becomes sharper and sharper until at noon at sharpest, and then fades away.
I mean, this is more conceptual installation piece. I love that because I didn't realize how multi-talented you are with different genre and medium.
Is that this is at Symphony Space in New York, and these are the Chan sisters. They play together, and these I hung these with invisible wire from the ceiling, and I put that black background so it looks like they're just suspended in
the air.
space.
Yeah,
in the air.
I
Yes.
love that. And it almost looks like video animation, but it's all
Yes.
handmade. And these are also wood.
These are wood. Yes, this is yes.
Who's your
So
inspiration?
I like to work with
The space.
yes
Environment.
yes, and yes.
I mean, Mahmoud, how long does something like this take? I mean, you had to physically, individually hang them.
Yes, first of all, we have to build them. And then, once I have these cubes, I can build any sculpture that I want. It's a matter of assembling it. So I set up a structure on top, which was invisible, painted it black, and my assistant would hang these, and I would tell them how low, how high, one by one. We did this because I had to see it. I couldn't be too close. So one by one, it was quite a frustrating process for both of us, probably more for him than me.
Yeah, it makes sense. But I'm also thinking your fascination for these shapes, these structural designs,
Yes.
they're not as fluid and organic.
Yes, cubes are an artificial, is a man-made shape. As easily as it comes to us, the form of a house, a room, it just, there is nothing like it in nature.
So you're kind of challenging that idea.
Yes, so it's purely man-made, yes. And the arrangement of these is organic.
Got it.
Okay, well, because what happens is that those squares that you see in the middle,
Yes.
they're all lined up, right?
Yes.
This top of a squares, but in real, the frames are not lined up.
So
What happened is that in the real drawing, the squares are skewed. Okay, so when I hung them, I decided, wait a minute, how about lining up the squares? And I really liked the results. And then my gallerist, Vernon Dobler, is very supportive. He loved it. So
But my question to you is, would a client purchasing these series, would they want to hang it like this? I don't know. Once they own it.
I always say, once they buy it, they can burn it. It's out of my hand. What am I going to do?
You got it.
Yes.
So these are done with pen and ink.
This is ink, pen and ink. This is again 9 of them, but they form. And as you can see, the square is slightly askew. So
Correct. And then these take how long to complete from beginning to the end?
this is 9. I mean, these take a while.
Like what's a while?
You know what? Okay.
What's a while?
Speaking, I'll tell you. Speaking of taking how long, it takes a singer 5 minutes to sing a song, okay? But it takes a lifetime of preparation in order to do that 5 minutes, okay? So when people ask me, how long does it take? I said, about 40 years. To get to this point. I mean, so should I count the time that I spent on all those things that I've thrown away, all those things that I spilled ink on?
I mean, Mahmoud, then it makes me also think how things are, the art market. How are the buyers? How are the auction houses, driving the art market?
And this is really the simplest of the series of work that I do. They're just straight lines, and I vary the distance between the lines. It's like an exploration of light and shadow, which for an artist is not that big of a deal to do. I mean, we deal with light and shadow. It's like asking a cook, what is your food about? And says, well, it's an exploration of the dynamics of salt and pepper. So it's the most basic element, light and shadow. So
That is true.
yes. So here they are. But I love them. They look good. It's also the most unforgiving series of my work because everything has to be precise. The pen has to be constantly clean. My hand can't shake. A dot will destroy these works. An extra dot. Okay, this is again, but instead of a straight edge, I've used French curve for this. These are very difficult to photograph because somehow the lines are so fine that they become blurred in the process of photography. But you can get an idea of
that wave, yeah, that curve.
Yes.
I mean, I love that.
Actually, this is the thing. I never, as you have noticed, people try to explain their art. And I believe that a work of art should be in such a way that if you need to explain it, you have to go back to finish it so that it will not need explanation. When you listen to a piece of music, you're not really interested in the musician explaining it. You just play the music. This is a proposal from my Endless Road series for a painting on the largest wall at MoMA. When you go to MoMA, in the hallway, in the atrium, there's a large wall. It has never been painted on. So this is my proposal for it.
If you had to say some of the things that inspire you the most, what would that be? I mean, is that...
I'll tell you, because I've thought about this, because a lot of people ask, what inspires you? Everything and nothing. The most mundane things could trigger you in one direction or the other. The thing about artists is that they don't wait for inspiration. Ideas don't come to us in this grand inspiration and then we go and make a great work of art. That's not how it works. We come to the studio every day and we work and we work and we work. And there are moments that you have, it's more like discovery as opposed to inspiration. We play with material, we play with shapes, with ideas, and somehow things happen. And this whole series, which is called Endless Road series, is a product of a process of playing with ink on paper. Under Corona, it has been good to me.
I mean, yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, how are you coping with it?
Very well. I always tell my friends I'm doing better than average. No, it has nothing to do. This is what I always do. I go home and then I come to my studio during the day, right? So I'm very lucky that I have something to do, which is not very different from what I did before.